All right, we're going to be doing proof practice today. Prove each of the following with a formal method of your choice, but it's not really your choice. We're actually just going to focus on the 2-column. And yes, we've been practicing paragraph proof, and yes, we've only seen one flow chart when we put the posters up on the wall. But so today, let's just focus on 2-column, and we'll get more practice with the others later. Okay, we start with the givens, right? Step number 1. So let's take a peek here. I'm being given the measure of angle ADB. So as I'm reading that, I touch A, D, and B, and I realize that it's this angle in here. So I mark it, measure of angle ADB. And they wrote equals in all of these, so I guess technically we'll write equals instead of congruent. Is equal to the measure of angle ADC. So I've marked it on the diagram, I've written my given, and my reason is that this was given in the problem. Check. It also told me that BD, I'm going to put a little mark, is equal to CD. And the reason for that, you got it, given. So that's all that was given to us so far. Then it's asking for us, is it true that these other 2 angles are equal? And that means that that's what it wants us to prove. So there's something hidden here that we're supposed to see. Do you see it? You got it. It's this reflexive side AD. Side AD is congruent to itself by the reflexive property. Okay, now I have enough for side, angle, side. Congruency. So I'm going to state the triangle congruency next. Triangle ADB is congruent to triangle ADC. And that's by side, angle, side. So now that I've proved the triangles are congruent, now I can say that any of the parts are congruent. So I go to my proof statement right here. Angle ACD is congruent to angle DBA. And corresponding parts of congruent triangles are congruent. CPCTC is our reason that all parts are equal once we've proven that the triangles are congruent. Okay, so this is one of the ones where we prove triangle congruency and then we take it a step further. So just to show you, this worksheet is not just the simple basic ones. It's making us think a little bit. All right, let's go take a peek at the next one. The measure of angle COR. So as I read that, I'm looking at these letters, COR is equal to the measure of EOR. So there's my angle right there. So my first given measure of angle COR is equal to measure of angle EOR. All right, the second statement says that CO is congruent to EO. Sorry, it's saying equal, so I'm going to put the givens exactly like they say. And is it true that CR is congruent to RE? So it's asking about another side. So we need to prove triangles are congruent first. Well, there it is again, that reflexive side. RO is congruent to RO by the reflexive property. It's a shared side, so of course it's equal. And now I can say that the triangles are congruent. So triangle COR is congruent to triangle EOR by, you got it, side, angle, side again. And so now that the triangles are congruent, I can state that all the parts are congruent. Particularly, they want to know that CR is congruent to RE by Corresponding parts of congruent triangles are congruent. CPCTC. Okay, pause this next video and try it. See how far you can get before you try it on your own with this video. Okay, start with the givens. Measure of angle T, measure of angle O are congruent. E is the midpoint of GM. Given. What do I know from midpoint? If E is the midpoint of GM, midpoint means middle, means that these two little sides are equal. So from this midpoint one, I can say that side GE is congruent to side ME. And the reason for that is definition of midpoint. Okay, that's all that was given to me. So there's something else staring at me in the picture. Do you see it? You got it. These little vertical angles here. So we can say angle GET. You have to put the E in the middle when you're saying the angle name. Is congruent to angle MEO by vertical angle theorem. Or vertical angles are equal, however you want to say it. Now can I say that the triangles are congruent? Yes, I have enough for congruency by angle, angle, side. So I'm going to go back to my triangle statement. Triangle GET is congruent to triangle MEO by angle, angle, side. Now that the triangles are congruent, I can say that any of their parts are congruent. So I can say that OE is congruent to TE. Corresponding parts of congruent triangles are congruent. CPCTC. Okay, how'd you do on that one? How far'd you get? Pause the video, try the next one. Each time you're trying to get a little bit further. Okay, JP is congruent to RA, given. F is the midpoint. Oh, let's go mark that. JP congruent to RA. F is the midpoint. Oh, you guys got to hear Lou and Zuko. They're barking at my daughter. Okay, F is the midpoint of JA and PR, given. So again, midpoint of JA and PR means this side is equal. JF is congruent to AF, definition of midpoint. And PF is congruent to RF, definition of midpoint. When we say there's a midpoint, you know that there's two equal segments on either side. So do I have enough for triangle congruency now? Yes, I've got three sides that are congruent. I didn't even talk about the vertical angles. I could have used that as well, but I don't need to because I already have enough for triangle congruency just by side, side, side. So triangle JFP is congruent to triangle AFR by side, side, side. Okay. Now I can talk about anything else that I want to talk about, which is that angle P is congruent to angle R. Corresponding parts of congruent triangles are congruent. How'd you do?